Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Tanya and You review. We are going to look back at some of the ideas, the powerful ideas that we have come across while we've been studying Tanya, and I think about 2 years now. We've concluded the chapter 53 3 weeks ago, and now we are looking back. What have we just studied? What are some of the takeaways from the Tanya? And in the short 30 minutes, it's not possible to go through all of the powerful and meaningful ideas that we've come across in the Tanya, but we'll start. We'll go through a few, and we'll see how far we get. So, 53 chapters of the Tanya, but there's also the introduction to the Tanya and the title page, most importantly, because the title page really sets the ground. What exactly is the Tanya here to do? And in the short title page, if you remember, the Alter Rebbe says that we're here for one purpose. We open the Tanya. What is our goal with the study of the Tanya? We want to know how to serve God. How can we have a relationship with God? How can we fill our purpose of being here? Is it easy? Is it hard? How can we do it? Is it possible? And the Alter Rebbe puts a big check. Yes, it is possible. Ki korev ma'od. It's actually very near and attainable. But Alter Rebbe says it's not necessarily an easy fix, but it's very, very attainable. It's very, very possible. And I think if you want to sum up one of the nice ideas, I think that, or powerful ideas that we pick up, not through one specific chapter in the Tanya, but just kind of going through these 53 chapters, what we see is the Alter Rebbe time and again tells us that we got to do certain things to make it happen. We have to think about certain things. We have to we have to think about certain things. We have to do certain things. In other words, what the Alter Rebbe is telling us is we shouldn't rely on externalities. We shouldn't rely on circumstances. And we shouldn't even rely on experience for us to be motivated and inspired. And I want to kind of delve into this a little bit. We generally in life, we do rely heavily on experiences. And with Judaism, it's true as well. You have a very positive experience, you feel uplifted. A person wants to be happy, well, go out and join, go see a good concert. Go put yourself in a certain atmosphere, in a certain vibe that will make you happy. And there's truth to that. Because if you are sad and you go to a party or you go to a lively concert, you may be happy. There is something to said about experiences that inspire the person. So let's talk about Judaism for a moment. If someone says, you're not inspired, come to synagogue. You'll feel inspired. Join us for Shabbat. You'll experience Shabbat. It will uplift you. Come here. You'll experience this. You'll be inspired. And of course, and it's good as a jump start. It's good when there's no other way. Yes, we can have those experiences. But the Tanya, I think, does not mention that even once. That if you're having a problem, if you're sad, you're melancholy, you're apathetic, you don't feel inspired, well, put yourself into this experience. No, it's not what the Tanya says. The Tanya always tells us, you need something, do something, think about something, make it real. From within, allow yourself to contemplate on a certain idea until you feel inspired. In other words, don't rely on experiences, but make it real on your own. Buy in, own it. That's what the Tanya is telling us time and again. So how many times does the Tanya tell us? Tell yourself these words. Talk to yourself. As we say in the Hasidic lingo, farbreng with yourself. Don't just rely on others or in a certain height that a person has, even on Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, the high holidays. People are in synagogue, they feel inspired. It's great. But the Tanya doesn't say that this is a mode, a method to long-term inspiration to do what's right. You know why? Because experiences, no matter how inspiring they are, and they truly are inspiring, but they are short-lived. You're not walking away with something tangible. You don't own it. You don't have it. You are relying on an external experience to make you who you are. That doesn't work. It doesn't work for yourself. It doesn't work for you to inspire others, right? If you have a very positive experience and you're very inspired, does that mean that your friends are going to be very inspired? If you're sitting by something, but if you're sitting in synagogue, it's Yom Kippur, the Ila prayer, you're fully engrossed and you're so inspired. Your heart's on fire. And you look to the chair next to you and you see someone there that can barely keep their eyes open. They're bored out of their wits. And you say, it's Yom Kippur. It's Ne'ilah. You're not inspired? No, I'm not inspired. What do you have to give them to be inspired? You don't have anything tangible. All you have is this experience that you're putting yourself into. It's very hard to pass that on to someone else. Why is that? Because you don't have anything real. The Tanya says, think about certain ideas, understand it in thought, speech, and then it'll be action because you feel it as well. You have something real. You could pass this on to someone else. And for you yourself, it's long lasting. Oftentimes, a person who is only relying on experiences needs the experience over and over and over again. And the moment they don't have it, they got to go back. Because if I don't go back, I'm going to lose it. And then I'm dry. Why am I dry? Because I never had it. I never had anything. I was just there, part of this larger experience. Someone goes to Israel, oh, I feel so experienced, I'm so inspired. But when I leave Israel, I'm back to square one. So now we got to go to Israel again and again and again, which is great. We should all go to Israel all the time. Great. We love it. But have I taken it in and made it real, internalized it? And now this is who I am. I'm a changed person. That's what the Tanya says. The Tanya is a path of Chabad. It means make it real, make it yours. So the Tanya talks about the book of the Beinoni, right? Talks about the average person. Average as in every person, your average person is able to attain this level of devotion and commitment and self-control, like the Beinoni. And what is that? So the Tanya talks about the two souls and the inner turmoil, the inner fight, the inner battle that goes on within the person between their animalistic soul, their selfish soul, and their godly soul, their selfless soul, the altruistic soul. And each one is fighting with the other. Who is going to take control over our thoughts, over our speech, and of course, over our actions? And we're the struggler. We have what's called the tzaddik, who is the unique type of individual who was able to fully eradicate their animalistic drives, and they're only delving into godly pursuits without any struggle. Okay, but that is something that is not the average person, unique individuals every generation. But we're talking about the me and you. We're talking about the people who have the struggle. And the Bainani is the person who has attained complete self-control. That although we have the struggle, we're able to overcome it. And the Tanya, chapter 12, chapter 13, talks about the various methods that the Bainani uses to attain this self-control. And just one of them, which it really talks to me, like we said, we're talking about some ideas from the Tanya, is the idea that the Bainani knows that the human condition really is that the mind controls the heart. We truly have the ability. We are created. We are born with this nature that the mind has the ability to control the heart. Now, we don't always live up to it. In other words, generally going through life, the heart very much controls the mind. I want something, I convince myself it's right, or I use my mind of how I could get to it. Or there's the struggle, and neither of them are in control. I want something, I know it's wrong. So what am I going to do? Am I going to control myself? Or am I going to give in to the heart? Even more than that. I want something. Am I going to change that want? Am I able to use my mind to not only to overpower my heart, but to change my heart, to develop a different want? I love something which I know is wrong. So now in my mind, I'm going to change that desire to something else. The Bainani knows this is human nature. We have the ability to control our heart. It isn't easy, but it's attainable. And what does the Bainani do? So one of the things that the Bainani does, like we said, like the theme of the Tani is we got to work with it. We got to make it real. We got to use our mind. We got to not just, put yourself into the situation. I was many years ago, my sister once showed me a little clip. It's a show of a person, a woman who comes into a home where the parents are having a difficult time controlling their children. The children are very wild, and you got to discipline your children. So they come and they kind of help you train. They train you over how to put in systems in place, what to say, what not to say, how to properly discipline your children. There should be a law and order in your house. So there's this situation. You have two children who are fighting over a game, and they're fighting. So what does the parent do? What does the parent do? So the parent distracts them and says, okay, you know what? Leave this game. Let's go have fun and play this other thing. Let's go have a treat. Let's go do something else. So she took them away from this situation of fighting in order that they should be peaceful and not fight. So this coach told her, you didn't really solve the problem. What you did was the here and now. I can't handle fighting. It's too much noise. It's too much. So let's just change and move settings and distract them with something else. So you solved the problem for the here and now, but you didn't really solve the problem. What you really have to do is you have to put a system in place, what to do when they're fighting, or that they should stop fighting. They should stop arguing, or they should argue with proper, with the proper, as they say in English, like a mensch. So the same is true with the Bainani. The Bainani knows that if a person has a desire to do something, we can just distract ourselves. Don't put yourself into that situation. Run away from it, and that's fine. If that's what is needed, you can do that. But the Bainani says, "Well, I want to change. I want to learn how to control myself, even when I am in front of this desire that I'm trying to work on." Right? In other words, someone says they have this weakness that they go into a gas station store and they see this 64-ounce cup of soda, they have to buy it. But they know it's wrong. So one option is, well, don't walk into the store. Don't test yourself. Don't put yourself into that situation. Okay, it works for some people, and that's always an option. But ultimately, you haven't changed. You just not putting yourself into these tough situations. What happens if you are put into this situation? You had to walk in. That's it. You lost it. We have to learn and control ourselves in a way where even when we are put into these situations, we're able to control ourselves. That's what the Beinoni has to do. What does he do? So one of the methods that the Beinoni does is that every morning the Beinoni sets some time to meditate, to think about what exactly, to realign themselves with their purpose. And imagine we did this every day. I think this on so many levels. We wake up in the morning, we're drinking our coffee, and we think to ourselves, first of all, what am I going to accomplish today? It's another day. God gave me another day. What am I going to do with this day? This day has never been here before and will never be here again. It's a unique day. What am I going to do with this day? How am I going to conduct myself on this day? What am I going to accomplish on this day? We can go further. How am I, as a parent, as a spouse, as a child, as a coworker, as an employer, as an employee, how am I going to act today? Then we have the big why questions. Why am I here today? And of course, when we have a why, we know how to deal with the what and the how. Imagine we did this every morning. I'm using my mug that says, Modeh Ani, awake, grateful. We have the Modeh Ani prayer. We wake up in the morning, we say Modeh Ani, thank you, God. That gives us a why. Why am I here to serve God? There's a purpose. There's a reason for everything. We take a few moments every day to realign. It's hard to go a long time without coming back to the source. You have a phone, right? How often do you go and you charge the phone? Yeah, the battery life could last 5 hours, 10 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours, but eventually you got to recharge. How do we recharge? So many different ways, but one of them is simply stopping and think. Stopping and think, what am I doing here? Why am I here? The Beinoni knows this. And the Beinoni knows how important it is, how crucial it is in order to overcome the struggles of life, the inner struggles of life, where you want to do one thing and you know that you should do something else. Who will win? Who will win today? The Beinoni knows if you want to have juice in the engine, you got to stop and realign. And every morning, take a few moments. It can be done quietly, thinking about who you are. It can be while you take a book and study some Torah, study some Hasidic thought. It can be while we are praying in the morning, realigning with the why of life and thinking about the how and when. Every morning. That gives us what we need to get through the day and to control our urges and control whatever temptation that we have that we want to control. So that's another powerful idea, that a good takeaway from the Tanya. The Tanya moves on talking about the importance of simcha, of joy, of happiness. In order to overcome the struggle of life, we can't be sluggish. We can't be down. It's just not going to work. We use the analogy of two people wrestling, where it's not only the ability and the techniques and the strength of the person, it's also their alacrity. It's also their zest, their fire, their passion. If one person in their mind they're done, the other person will overcome them. We have a daily struggle, the inner struggle between the good and the evil, or between the self and selfless, selfish, altruistic, godly, animalistic, life, self-preservation, or thinking about the bigger picture, thinking about God. It isn't easy. Who will win the struggle? The one who has more passion. How do we get passion? Through simcha, through joy. Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha. And that's quite a few chapters of Tanya deal with how to deal with struggle and the importance of simcha. The Tanya talks about hamaisa hu ikir, how the main point ultimately is the action and the emotions behind it, the ahava, the yira, the feeling of closeness that we have to God, and the feeling of awe that we have to God is ultimately there to bring life into the act, but ultimately it's the act itself that's most important. It's not like a spouse coming and bringing home flowers, and we say, it's the thought that counts, but it's important that you brought home the flowers. It's the opposite. With God, it's the flowers that count. It's the act that counts. And it's also important that you also have a thought. But it's really the act itself. It's the mitzvah itself. And that the Tanya develops and talks about that this is really the purpose of creation. God wants a dwelling place, a home, a place where he feels comfortable here in this physical world. And through using the physicality of the world to elevate it through our actions, that brings godliness over here. And therefore, ultimately, the Beinoni, even if they are struggling with the emotional part of connecting with God, but doing the act itself, as long as it allows you to, it brings you, it motivates you enough to do the act, that's ultimately that what counts. And then towards the end of the Tanya, just the last chapter, we said, I think, a very powerful idea. The idea of seeing the body as the candle. We have the wick. We have the flame, which is the godliness. And we have to consume the flame and allow it to be consumed into the wick. It gets consumed into the flame. And I think this is a very powerful idea to end off with, where the idea is that we have so many struggles in life. The wick of life, the physical part of life, sometimes we have difficulties, we have challenges, and we don't see a way out. But ultimately, what we're meant to do is we're meant to light the flame, light the candle, and allow the flame to consume the wick, taking the wick, taking our struggles, taking our difficulties, a difficult situation, and not only overpowering it with light, which light dispels darkness, but it also consumes the flame. It consumes the wick. The wick itself becomes part of the flame. It transforms it into something so positive. And looking at our lives as well, taking a challenge and looking back sometimes 5 years, 10 years, and saying, you know what? That challenge made me who I am today. I've grown from that challenge because I've elevated myself through that challenge. So now that challenge, that wick, became part of the flame. So that's some of the ideas that we've come up, and there's so many more, of course, in the Tanya, the 53 chapters. We didn't touch upon so many other powerful ideas. But Tanya tells us it may not be easy, but it's attainable. Just work. Be aligned. Be conscious of who you are and what you have to do. Don't just let life, just let things pass and just live life. Make it what you want. Take control of your life. And if you're in control, you shape the life that you want to live. even when there's other external circumstances that come in your way, and they sometimes they do control you, but don't allow yourself to be controlled. Even a prisoner could control their own life. That's what true freedom is. This is what the Tanya teaches us. I just want to conclude the short story, which I believe I started with when we started the Tanya with Professor Branover, who was a Russian Jew who was searching for meaning in life. And he was a professor. He studied many books and a very deep thinker. And he had a rabbi who would teach him ideas of Judaism, ideas of belief in God, etc. And they were very profound. And he wants to ask them, tell me, what's your source? Which books have you been reading that teach you all these profound ideas? And he takes out from his pocket a small pocket-sized Tanya, a small pocket-sized Tanya. And he says, this is the book. And Professor Branover says, how, this is it? How long did it take you to read? And he answered, a lifetime. A lifetime. It's a book that we don't just read, we get the idea and we put it back on the shelf. We live with it. We live with it. We learn it again and again and again. There's no end to how many times we can learn and perceive. Both every time we learn it, we understand it to a new level, and ultimately to live with it because it demands of us so much. So that's the Tanya. So I leave you with that. And I really enjoyed the last 2 years that we've been studying the Tanya. And like I mentioned, if we have ideas of new topics for our Thursday morning class, please share it with me. I'd love to continue the series. That's it. Thank you. Mazel tov. All the best.